This is Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick. Thanks to NRMA Insurance and Uniden.
That's right, thanks to NRMA Insurance, a help company helping Australians protect what matters most for almost 100 years. NRMA is Australia's largest insurer of electric vehicles. And of course, Uniden Smart Dash Cams. If you have a new car and you don't have a dash cam, what are you doing? Where are you getting peace of mind from?
You've got to do that. You need to get, and make sure you get the one that includes the rear camera. So that's the R after the name.
Yeah, any model number with an R in it.
Uniden's dash cams. You will keep your record of what happens on the road.
Now, Stephen, we've got a couple of calls to get through today, and I want to talk about public charging etiquette later as well.
Yes.
Because I have this frustrating thing happen now and then. And you know me, I get frustrated.
Trevor's pretty
Happy
silent.
to share.
Pretty silent about his worries there.
But we, it was about a month ago, we went to the EV show in Sydney, and there was a lot of brands there.
Seems like only yesterday.
Seems like yesterday. But it's the pricing that's coming through as being super sharp for some of these brands people have never heard of. And I got to tell you, we've said this a million times on other shows.
Yeah.
You have to be aggressive if you're an unknown brand.
Absolutely right. We'll use the famous iPad analogy. Remember when the iPad first came out back in the day and other competitors were coming out with similar products that were about the same price? Yeah. And customers, it's a no-brainer what they're going to do. They're not going to take a chance on your product. They're going to go for the most popular one if they're going to spend the same amount of money. So EV manufacturers are learning this, especially these brands that are coming out of China. We're going to talk about Geely in a minute, but Deepal, all these other brands
Xpeng,
they're bringing in what I call sort of affordable luxury EVs. Where they look pretty nicely appointed and really nice materials and great designs, and we're talking some pretty sharp pricing here.
And the way you describe luxury, right? Yeah. I think it depends on what you've come from. Now, for people that have owned BMWs and Mercedes, you get into one of these, you're going to feel like it's good. Yeah. But if you've owned a Toyota Corolla, a Camry, a Kia from 8 years ago, and you get into one of these Chinese cars, you're going to go, whoa, this is, look at the fit and finish in here.
You see sort of the really nice sort of big screen inside, the beautiful upholstery and the cluster in front of the driver and all of those things. And you're going to think, wow, you're going to be impressed. Like, as we were. We sat in them at the show and we thought, wow. And then at the time, though, we didn't hear the pricing. So the Geely was there, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And we hadn't heard the pricing yet for that. We're thinking, wow, this is really nice. And then they come up with the pricing. Yeah.
Now, the Geely EX5 is you would call it a mid-size SUV, which is obviously the market segment to be in. It's the most
and it's all electric
selling car on the market, petrol or electric. This is an all-electric car. Yep. And I think they're going to do very well with this purely based on price.
$42,707.45. Why do they need to add 45 cents? Anyway. Drive-away pricing, by the way, too. So, you know what? Do you remember recently I was telling you about I'm looking, my mum wants to update her car? We're going to go look at this for my mother. Yep. Because she wants an SUV, sort of off the road a bit. And, she's not afraid to have a crack with an EV. I reckon this could be an ideal for her. I
said to you at the show as we were walking through, your mum's the perfect person for an EV. Yeah. She's not driving long distances at all. She's the car's parked at home a lot of the time. Just keep it plugged into the wall. Don't even need to install a wall box or any sort, because I think basic trickle charging is fine. So, and the ongoing cost savings of not just maintenance, but fuel and all those things, mate, she's going to be loving.
I think she was a bit hesitant at first, but then I explained exactly what you said to her, and she goes, you know what? She's willing to give it a crack.
They show photos of this EX5, right? And one of the photos, and this Hyundai did this with the Ioniq 5. They made it so that you can basically lay the front seats down like a bed. I don't know why people are sleeping in their cars, but they're trying to show
people want to lay down in their car
that they do things very different to every other car manufacturer. But this thing has, I'm going to say, feels like a Genesis when I look at photos. Yeah. Hyundai's premium brand.
Yeah, it does look
a lot of the wood grain finish on the inside. The look of the cabin, and then it's got this rounded SUV look. Yeah, feels very Genesis to me, but I think it'll go well.
A Genesis had a baby with the BYD C line.
Oh yeah, I see that.
I think it's that's the child of those two cars.
And for comparison, if you're thinking about what we're talking about here, I would say this looks size-wise, I haven't seen it side by side, but feels like it's going to be about the size of a Mazda CX-5, which is a very popular sized car on the road.
What's the new Kia? Is the
EV5 or EV3? This would be bigger than an EV3.
So I reckon this would be between an EV3 and EV5 size-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good.
Mate, 42 grand.
Yeah.
You got to think about the number of people that have been spending good money on Teslas.
Yeah.
I had a bloke come up to me today and say, "Oh, I love the car. I couldn't afford it." He was driving a Model 3. Thinking, I think they're the same price, mate.
Hello.
But maybe he got his for like 59 or something, and he couldn't get to 60, 65 or something. But like the comparison at that rate is quite low. But then you open up a whole new level with people that are looking in the 40s. The 40s is a good number for a brand new fully electric car.
Do you remember? It wasn't that long ago where there were like I think remember BYD and MG were having a bit of a battle trying to get under 45 and then under 40.
Yep.
Now you're seeing with this sort of value, but not only is it what's included with that price is impressive as well, because they're going to give with that you get a complimentary home charging unit. Does that mean a
trickle
wall?
charger?
Is that a charger?
I think that'd be a trickle charger.
You get a 1 year public charging complimentary, 3 years of complimentary servicing. You get the complimentary premium paint, and if you want to finance it, it's 3.88%.
Mate, servicing. Rate. Including servicing in the price of the car for 3 years, that's pretty good. See, there's a problem in the market where Teslas essentially don't get serviced. For good or for bad, I'm not sure it's a great thing, but for good or for bad. Whereas a lot of others, like your Kias and things, they'll have a fixed price servicing. But to then lump that into the price, brilliant. Yeah, like you're literally paying. If you got solar at home, and you charge it that way, you're paying nothing for this car for 3 years.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's crazy good.
And it's also got the 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, 8-year battery warranty, up to 7 years free roadside assist as well.
Let us know what you think about these new brands you've never heard of. Which ones have you looked at? Which ones have you researched online? And most importantly, which ones are you planning to test drive? You can get in touch with us at any time. Send us a text to 0477 657 657. We'll hear from you and we'll try and get you on the show. Coming up after this, your calls. Are you going to lasso? What are we, on a ranch?
I don't know, mate. The music just took hold of me.
David's on the line. G'day, David.
Hello.
Hey, mate. How you doing? What's your EV story right now? You're an owner or in the market?
I am an owner now as of late January. So, not too long. Pretty early in the journey.
So what did you end up getting there, mate?
One that doesn't get talked about too much. The Volvo C40.
Ooh. C40, okay. Nice. That's a smaller one, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it's a bit bigger than the EX30, but still a small SUV.
And how did you come to that choice? Did you do a lot of test driving? What did you do? Or you were listening to our show?
Yeah, a bit of test driving. I got to your show just after I bought it. A bit of a journey. I guess I first drove a EV a few years ago. A mate hired a Tesla Model 3 dual motor and I had to go in that and I was blown away.
Yeah.
Probably at that point, I knew when I got to the point of buying a new car, it was going to be electric. And I hired a Polestar 2 a couple of times when I visited Sydney and I quite liked that. Quite liked that it was solid, well built, handled well. But it was a single motor and I was missing that real kick. So then probably late last year, I guess I got into a position where I decided, I need a new car and businesses are going better, so I can probably justify one now. And I found out about the new Model Y, the Juniper coming, and so I actually paid paid the order fee on that. But then I decided to go.
What tipped you away?
Yep.
Why did you do that?
Put the money down, and then was it Elon?
A little bit.
It
was probably not the big. It probably wasn't the big reason, but I started doing test drives, and I drove the Polestar 4 Performance in the morning, and then straight after I had the current Model Y booked.
Yep.
And it was just a night and day difference. And it wasn't just that it was a difference. Just driving the Model Y, The tech is all there, and I was aware of that, and I've played with them a few times. But just the drive to me, I guess my background, I've done a bit of motorsport and racing and things like that, and I wanted something a bit sporty, and this didn't feel in any way sporty. Oh. I didn't enjoy this. Yeah, didn't enjoy the suspension, didn't enjoy the handling. The test car was actually rattling pretty hard inside the interior, and the whole experience, I was like, if I'm going to spend this much money, I want it to actually feel like a nice car. It's interesting
because people talk about Teslas like they have the greatest performance, but actually, and they do, like off the line, they can win a million battles. But
it definitely had the power.
Throwing a Model 3, let alone a Model Y, Model Y is worse around corners. Throwing it into corners, hey, it's just not as refined as some. If you've driven a car that has performance handling, especially a European car, it's just not the same. And so it feels like you really missed that. And so then what drove you then to because you'd driven a Polestar, you liked it.
So
how'd you get to Volvo?
Yeah.
Volvo's like a sister company, isn't it?
Well, it is. Yeah. So I also tried the Kia EV6, and that was pretty nice, but it was a bit Kia. It had far too many buttons on the dash. I like a few,
Kia,
but
Trevor drives a EV9, don't you, mate?
Yeah. Look,
Trevor's a Kia,
I haven't driven an EV9, but it wasn't what I was looking for, I guess.
No. Okay.
So then ended up looking around, and I hadn't considered Volvo, so probably the same. I guess there's a perception, right? Volvo, it's not going to be the sporty or cool EV. But then I kind of found out that Geely own it, and the Polestar 2 and the C40 and XC40 are all the same platform. So
yeah, I mean, let's be clear here. People probably don't realise. Think about the Volkswagen group, right? That's Audi, Skoda, Volkswagen, even my car.
A lot of cars.
And then you look at the Geely group, which we just talked about. That's Volvo, Polestar, Zeekr, Lotus. It's a platform. It's a huge underpinning. So you end up with a bit of the best of a lot of worlds, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that in it's built in China. It's got the the Geely motors and battery, I guess, and that's definitely there. It's definitely quick off the line. So I went and test drove one because I found the dealer was selling them a bit cheaper, quite a bit cheaper. And I thought, I've got to go have a look at this, and did the test drive, and I was like, that's really nice. It's a really nice car. And the price was good, so I ended up with it.
So what sort of driver are you? Do you do a lot of Ks generally? Like, do you drive for your job?
No, actually.
So
I work from home, so I don't do a lot of driving, but I do a bit of mountain biking and cycling, so sometimes I carry the bike around on the bike rack to go somewhere. Okay. My family and quite a few friends are still in Sydney. I'm in Brisbane now, so I do every now and then travel down there, and I just wasn't enjoying the drive in the old car. So the first thing I did when I got this was actually pack it up and drove it to Melbourne and back.
Wow.
So I've had a good experience in it.
So how did that go for you? This is your first EV you've owned, right? So how did that go for you? Did you sort of plan that trip out, or you just thought, I'm just going to just go, or how did you do that?
No, I planned it pretty hard. I was pretty nervous, I guess, having not done it. I hadn't done any public charging before I actually set off.
Wow.
So it was. I was a little bit anxious, and I actually had a little bit of trouble at a couple of spots to start with. So I was a little bit initial frustration. EV. Their charger wasn't working at all, and I didn't understand if it was me because I didn't have mobile reception. So I was having to walk over to the closer to the servo and use their Wi-Fi to try and start the charge.
You were at Sutton's Forest, near the Macca's?
Tyndale up on the north coast.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Little roadhouse, little Shell roadhouse. Okay. And I had trouble there, and I had enough charge to go to Coffs Harbour, and I managed to get a charge there. But the other spot was actually Tesla, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with them. It's just the shorter cables on the older generation one. I had the bike on the back, and I couldn't actually reach the charging port because of the bike rack.
You had a trailer or a bike rack, just a rack. Yeah, right.
Yeah, the hitch rack. So
they are quite a short cable on the superchargers. You're right. Yes.
Yeah. Right. So
a bit of awkward parking. I parked sideways across two spaces, which I was a bit not too happy about, but I got it charged and moved it.
You learn something every day, mate. You learn something every day. Yeah. Well, you mentioned in your message to me that to the text line that you had an update for the filling the bucket analogy we often use, where you talk about pouring the hose into the bucket and it gets to the top, you slow down the water flow, and that's what it's like charging. What's your analogy that you use?
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad analogy, but my background is actually a chemist. So I'm knowing the chemistry a little bit. I was just a little bit like, hang on, no. So I want to give you an alternative. So the beer pong analogy. So basically, let's say you have one end of the table, you've got a pile of ping pong balls, and that's your that's your discharge battery. And the other end, you've got a whole set of cups. Let's say you've got 80 cups empty at the other end of the table, and you've got 80 ping pong balls. Now, as you want to throw balls at the empty cups, there's 80 of them, so you're basically never going to miss. So you can throw them as fast as you want, and they're all going to land in the holes. But as those cups start getting taken away, it's going to get much harder, and you have to be much more accurate and slow the rate down to get each ball in the cup.
I like that. Even though you're talking to two non-drinkers here, mate, we do understand what you're talking about.
So, I guess the big part is once the ping pong balls miss, they're gone forever. So that's when you lose your capacity. Yeah. So you might only have 60 balls left. You've only got, say you started at 80 kilowatt hours, you've now got 60. Of course, that's going to take a long, long time. But if you charge too fast, essentially that's what's going to happen. You're going to degrade faster because you lose the ping pong balls, which are the lithium ions.
Well, I wouldn't want a chemist being upset with me, okay? So we'll try and remember that one for future, mate.
But that trip, though, you did the trip. It didn't. Yeah. You didn't make you regret the choice of an EV. You thought, okay,
no, not at all.
This is all
quite
good.
The opposite.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, quite the opposite. After that, I had first two charges, I had problems, and then after that, absolutely no problem at all. I think only one charger I had to wait maybe 10 minutes because they were occupied, and apart from that, every single one I had no trouble finding them. All charged quickly. So it was all pretty good. And
Just one last question. Did it teach you about? I remember when I first got my Tesla, and you were around the chargers and talking to other drivers. You felt like part of a club. You're in sort of. There was a bit of camaraderie. Did you sort of have that sort of interaction with other drivers on your trip? Yeah, definitely. There was a couple of spots where I stopped at the charger, and I was walking my dog around and just having a chat with the other EV owners. So and I guess you're not just stopping for fuel and going. So there's a bit of a difference, and just seeing how there are there's a lot of EVs around the city, but when you're out in the country, there's not. You don't see too many. So it does feel like you're in something a bit different, and pretty cool.
Well, welcome to the world of EV, mate. We hope you're enjoying the Volvo, and mate, keep in touch if you learn anything more that you want to share with other people. We're always happy to hear from you, mate. Great to hear from you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, great, and I love the show. Been listening, so yeah.
Thanks, mate.
I appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you, David. And if you want to be like David and get in touch, you can send us an SMS. Just send it to 0477 657 657 and we'll get you on the show. Great to have your company. Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Thank you to Uniden and NRMA Insurance. We appreciate their support since the very beginning here on Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. 0477 657 657 if you want to talk EVs. If you're in the market, you bought one, you hate them, you love them, we don't care.
Yeah.
Happy to talk about it, whatever it is. If you've owned an EV and you got rid of it, let's talk. Let's understand why.
Let's build the community knowledge.
I really love hearing from people that aren't just listening every week because it's there, but they're learning. Yeah. A lot of people say they're binging the back catalogue, Stephen.
There you go. Well,
big numbers on the back catalogue.
I've got to say, mate, every day is a school day. If you learn something every day. So
I try to. I mean, not every day.
Well, this is the show where a lot of people have said, it's a reason that they've bought an EV, they've learnt all the stuff they need to learn, they've heard other people's experiences, and it's resulted in them getting into it.
Let's keep going with calls. 0477 657 657. Tony's on the line. G'day, Tony.
G'day, how you going?
Yeah, really good, mate. Where are you at in your EV journey?
Well, finally taken the plunge, and just 2 months ago picked up a Ioniq 5, the latest model.
Oh, very nice.
And so how did you come to decide on that particular model, Tony? Did you do a lot of test driving? Were you recommended? How did you make that choice?
It was kind of mathematical and logical. I just worked back from what I needed. Okay. I really loved it. I took the BMW, the iX1 and the Renault Megane for a test drive. Loved them, but for me, a red line was a vehicle to load. I thought, why the hell would you have a huge battery sitting there in the garage doing nothing?
If you can't, plug something in when you go camping, or in the worst case scenario, plug in the air fryer and get dinner done during a blackout. Basic things like that. It's a good thing.
I was caught without power for 5. Yeah. Yeah.
And how powerful?
Caught without power for 5 days last August in southern Tasmania. So it was like pretty extreme.
Now,
so if there's any doubt.
Vehicle to load, we should remind people there's several types of V2s. V to L is vehicle to load. You can plug something into a power point. Vehicle to home is powering your home off your car. Vehicle to grid is sending power back to the grid in case where you've got enough and they need it. Have you investigated the upper levels of that, and are you keen on vehicle to home / grid?
Definitely, and that's been one area your podcast has been really helpful, just getting my head around that. Because, again, to me, that's just logical to have that.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
And we're in the middle of installing solar, and I just want to make that as part of the package.
Are you going to put a battery then with your, or are you going to have your car as a battery in your setup?
Well, we just decided not to. I mean, that was it. We were looking, we're getting quotes. Do we go, 6 kilowatt hour battery, 10 kilowatt hour, and there's an 84 one sitting there doing nothing.
The exact same
I know
thing.
I've said it a million times, but the blokes that installed my solar, they were awesome. And then they keep nagging me about putting batteries, and I go, mate, you want to charge me $15,000 for a 15K battery when I've got 160 in the driveway? Yeah. What are we talking about here? But, we are just basically waiting now for chargers. We need certification on a CCS charger that can then be installed. But,
So to take it the other way, take the power into the house.
That's right. Yeah. We need, companies like Wallbox and others will come up with it's a very different, it'll be a much more expensive charger, to be clear. Yeah. You spend $1,000, $1,500 on a charger right now. It's probably going to be $3,000 to $4,000 for a vehicle to grid, vehicle to home compatible one. So you've got to say it's probably a bit of a sting, but I think the long-term benefit of that, because, Tony, I look at it, and you're about to get the joys of solar as well, which is unbelievable, but I look at it and I go, man, the amount of electricity I'm dragging in outside of solar hours is silly, and I've got all those batteries sitting there. So have you done the work? Because obviously there's this big unknown right now about the cars in Australia actually supporting vehicle to grid. There have been some companies, I definitely have seen Kia quoted talking about it, so I feel some confidence that they'll roll out whatever software updates are needed to enable it. But are you confident that you'll get that from Hyundai?
Not 100% confident, no. And it was I was putting off the decision, but we needed a car, and you can wait forever for that. I was just assuming that it's so logical that it'd be ridiculous of them not to.
It's refreshing to hear that you did the maths on this, as you said before, because I think this is going to be a huge selling point of cars in the near future. I think that there's people who are on the fence about EVs when they learn the benefits of having vehicle to grid and it possibly helping them with their own power requirements in their home. I think that's going to be a real factor. And so to me, it seems an obvious choice to brands to look at this, because it's competitive, right? Competitive market. Brands should be, I reckon they'd be prioritising this.
But I also think, Stephen and Tony, maybe you'll feel familiar with this, but I feel like the EV community is quite vocal. And I think that a brand would be punished by not listening to their community. So the existing Ioniq 5 owners, if it is just a software update, because the physical technology exists in the car, then they'd be mad not to allow it. So, look, it feels like I'm in the same boat, mate, to be honest. Well, I know my cars can do it. It's a matter of whether it will happen. But, mate, just talk about the car generally, ups and downs, positives and negatives.
Well, the other reason I went for it is the capacity. It has a lovely, generous boot, and for me, it's it's like I'm very utilitarian about cars. I want it to. It's got to do the job
for sure.
So it's great. It's great for that. And I went for the bigger battery and all-wheel drive.
Yep.
Once again, just seeing people getting bogged where I'm living and getting towed out. So I thought I need the all-wheel drive and I need the extra power, also to tow stuff.
Yeah.
That's one drawback. And the trivial thing is, I bought it with the tow bar to be installed on delivery, and I've just been told it'll be another 3 or 4 months before
really
something as basic as a tow bar. And I'm not happy with that, because it was picked up in fact just at the end of December, and I said, okay, where's the tow bar? Because we're moving house. It's actually part of the plan.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds pretty trivial, but I can't believe it takes 6 months to get your hand on
Where are you located, Tony? What city?
We're in the process of moving from Melbourne to southern Tasmania. So this was part of the whole.
That is a big move.
Whole complication.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, look, I can't guarantee anything, but I'll happy to represent on your behalf to our contacts at Hyundai to see whether or not there's anything they can update us with, or maybe tweak the process a little bit. Yeah. So leave that with me. Stephen will remind me, because I've got a shocking memory to do that once we finish the show.
Yep.
But yeah, and just finally, mate, what's your because you got the solar plan? What's your current charging? Your granny charger, is that the plan?
Unfortunately, yeah, granny charger, and that's where I didn't do the maths. I didn't think it through. 84 kilowatt hours and 2.4 kilowatts going into it. That's 36 hours, and I didn't think that through. So I can see why, if I was not planning on a home charger, or I certainly would be thinking twice, because it is a factor.
Definitely.
But no. But at the same time, I've never had real problems getting access to street chargers, and it seems to work. And I really like the camaraderie of just hanging out and talking to people about their cars.
Yeah,
that's Stephen mentioned that to a previous caller.
Earlier. Yeah, I found that when I first got my first EV was a Tesla, and I found that around all the chargers, you're chatting to the new owners. Well, it was like being part of a club. You're in a club.
I'm an introvert. I don't talk to anyone. So
the other example is getting the boat over to Tassie. You put in a special queue, and so it's actually another little club with the other EV. So it was like it was great, actually. We sort of caught up and.
Excellent.
Well, good luck with the move. Good luck with the experience.
Yes.
We'll reach out to Hyundai just to check on that. And, mate, just know that if you ever want to have a chat about any of your learnings or questions, mate, we're always happy to help, mate.
The podcast is wonderful. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much, Tony. Thanks for being part of it. Getting in touch, mate. I appreciate it. What a journey. And we will reach out to Hyundai on that just to see. I will remind you. Thank you, mate. Yeah. A couple of quick things. I want to talk about public charging etiquette real quick, but I also was remiss not to tell you and our listeners that I got another piece of contact from BYD about our conversation.
Yeah, we have
with
it. Yes.
Scott. I feel like it was Scott. Might have been Simon.
Yeah.
It was an S word.
Anyway, about the harness?
The harness, the wiring, the incompatibility with BYD, Atto 3s, and the Tesla charging network.
Yes.
Now, look, I don't know they want this quoted, but I'm going to read it because I think it's a very good response. And as a result of this conversation, the boss of BYD will be on the show in the near future. He actually wants to come in, so we need to reconfigure the studio a bit.
Here.
But otherwise,
we'll sit on your lap.
Otherwise, we'll get him on the phone at the worst. Look, the bottom line is BYD's point is it's not a defect or a fault with their CCS DC fast charging. Yeah. They take great pride in their battery technology and their compatibility. And they make this analogy, and I think it's a good one. And this is going to hurt people who do have this compatibility problem. Right. When the Australian government banned leaded petrol, they gave manufacturers a couple of years to make necessary changes to their vehicles. Unfortunately, the same notice wasn't given from Tesla that they would be opening up the V3, V4 network to vehicles manufactured by other OEMs. And so manufacturers had to race to rectify this compatibility. Some through simple software fixes, others and in their case, a hardware fix. Yeah. For BYD, this affects the model year 22-23 Atto 3s. And to enhance charging flexibility, they have developed a retrofit, which they expect to arrive in the next few weeks, that then needs to be tested and validated, and we're confident it meets standards, then it'll be rolled out. But at the time of design and build, those models were compliant with the standards, and they're ensuring that optional upgrade is available to those people who want it. So, look, I think we can rest the case on that to say, look, you're not going to get it for free. So if you need it, if you're doing huge road trips and all that, and you want that compatibility, I'm sorry, horses bolted. You're going to have to wait for it to be a paid upgrade.
Yeah,
simple as that.
use a different charger.
And we'll unpack that with the boss of BYD, David, their CEO, will come on. And I said, we'll talk about a bunch of other things as well, because that'll by then be a minor issue, and they've got lots of cars on the market and lots of things, so we'll talk through that as well.
And I'm sure he'll drive out here in a BYD.
I'm sure he will.
But scandal if he did it.
If he does drive out here and he goes, say, and he might plug in at the office here. What about yesterday? This is hilarious, but shows how unbelievably generous I am. I was standing out the front of the office yesterday waiting for a courier who was painful and walking up the driveway.
Yes.
And I was kind of waving at the courier, and there was this other guy walking up, and he was then he started walking towards me. I'm thinking, what's going on here? Who's this guy?
It's a crazy
he goes,
fan.
Hey, Tim from one of the places down there. Yeah, go, mate. He goes, mate, can I buy some electricity from you? I went, what the hell are you talking about? He goes, I'm driving an EV and it's not my car. It's a loan from Mercedes because I'm getting my car serviced and it's really close to being flat.
Oh, no.
I said, no dramas, mate. I'll move my car and just plug it in and do your best.
Yeah.
So, Mr. BYD can charge here. But if he goes up to Ampol up the road, I had this situation the other day where sometimes if Amanda's got a lot on and she's been driving around a lot with Victoria lately, I look at the Kia and I go, it's cloudy for the next 3 days. I'm going to go and charge it for her. Yep. So it's a big percentage. Yep. So I go up to Ampol and this is, normal time of day, nothing, no major stress for anyone really. And let's say I'm at 30% wanting to go to 80. And I pull up.
Which would take about, 20 minutes, 25 minutes?
Something like that, yeah. I pull up and there's a Tesla plugged in at 97%. And I'm sitting there going, no, it was at 93. And, mate, she charged to 100.
You can see on the display.
She charged to 100.
That's not right. Yeah.
Now, I've got to tell you, folks.
That's like letting someone in traffic. You got to say, okay, get in.
When you're in traffic and you're doing the zipper move and you're thinking, there's your one, there's my one, there's my one, your one. I looked at this and I went, look, if it was me, and here's
why didn't you say something?
Again, I don't talk to people. Also, she was in a car. She was just in a car on a phone, right?
Ah, right.
But there are times when you need 100%. I get that totally. So if I was preparing our car to drive to Young, I would have wanted 100%. Yeah. So what I would do in that situation, if it was me, just in terms of etiquette, I would have got out and said, I'm actually going on a road trip, but I'll unplug. How long do you need? I would have gone, you know what, I'll wait to get my extra 3%. Or I would have explained why. Because she might have found that I didn't care. I was happy to sit and wait. But it was this, I don't know, just this weird moment of, oh man, you know what? I don't know how long this is going to take. So I feel like people need to understand as we talk to the community, you do need to have thoughts about the other people around, especially when it's a single charger.
So it's a single charge because I use the Ampols at East Village in Moore Park, and each one's got 2 plugs.
Yeah.
And there's like about
this has got a Chatamo and a CCS, so it's a one in all in.
Yeah, right. Okay, and so it's a fast charger, fast.
Oh yeah,
but
it'll go to 120.
First in best dress.
First in best dress.
Yeah. You know what? The etiquette. I remember years ago the etiquette, and this is probably right today. If you pull into a multi-bay charger. Is it etiquette for you to park away from the other car, so to use a different charger rather than sort of parking next to them and using the same one? Does that then compromise their power, the output?
Normally, what I've heard from speaking to people in the charging infrastructure game is the power is delivered to all of them, like all 6 plugs,
right. So
as opposed to each.
Because I remember back when the Tesla superchargers, that was sort of a common thing, and things that were brought up in conversations at chargers is that if there's space away from another car, go to that one, you'll get a faster charge.
They just didn't want to be near you.
Yeah, no. Well, this seemed to be the thing to do.
Anyway, charging etiquette, it's an important thing because it's something you don't get at a petrol station.
Yeah.
At best, in a petrol station, you fill up and you're going in and you're buying a lot of like groceries from the store, and you're going to take some time. Your kids are going to the bathroom. You can actually move your car and pay but that's the worst thing that happens in petrol. But in electric cars, it can happen in a much bigger way.
Absolutely. I think you just got to be, like everything, just be considerate.
Let us know your stories of charging woes and etiquette. 0477 657 657. We'd love to hear from you, Stephen. We'll be back again next week and we'll do it all again.
I'll be here.
Talk to you then.
Bye-bye.